I want to tell you about my brother-in-law, Drew. He went to school at the University of California in Santa Barbara. For those of you who know that, it's a great public school, but it also has a little bit of a reputation for, let's say, just being a lot of fun. And he loved his college memories, he loved his friends, he loved everything about the town. And for many years now, he's been trying to figure out a way how to reconnect with some of those people that he hasn't seen in years. Now he has his close friends, but there's some people that he missed seeing. And so he came up with an idea. He decided to start a group, and it's called I Partied in Isla Vista. Now, maybe I Studied in Isla Vista, which is the town where it's located, would have been a better name, but let's go with Partied. Regardless, that was about 2 months ago, and to date, that group on Facebook has 15,000 members in 2 months. And not only that, there's tons of engagement, people commenting, sharing memories, talking about all the stuff that they loved about Santa Barbara. As a matter of fact, today someone said, can you name a time when you studied and had some great results? And there was about 155 comments. Now, there's something that he did right. He wanted to build a community. He figured out a way to get people into that community, how to keep the people in the community, and then how to get more people involved in the community, and it's working. They're buying t-shirts. The student store ran out, they had to do a special. It's been amazing. And what he did with that group is what I want to share with you today. How to build a community using the power of social media. You may be wondering who I am. My name is Marissa Hoff, and I am so excited to be here for the Retention Convention. Thank you to Dr. Paul Bedford for having us. Anyhow, why am I talking about social media? Well, long story short, I started in the fitness business about 10 years ago as a group X instructor, and then I moved on to being the general manager of an independent health club here in Southern California where I live, and that was Stevenson Fitness. I had such a great opportunity there. I learned to do many, many things. But one of the things that I loved most was marketing and social media. So I had a chance to get more involved in that aspect of the industry, attending social media conferences, etc. Since then, I've become director of operations for the Empower Group. We do lots of consulting with fitness businesses around the world. But what I'm really excited is about a new project that's coming next month, and that's with an organization called Be Military Fit. They're the premier outdoor boot camp in the UK, and we're bringing them over here to the US. Watch this to learn more.
Thumbs up.
Pretty awesome, right? I can't wait to show you what's next, so please stay tuned. Anyhow, before I tell you about the 3 elements for building community through social, I want you to keep these overarching principles in mind. One is, it's called social media. The key word there being social. So I want you to think about this as a place for engagement, for you to continue to do the amazing things you do with your community. It's not about selling. It's not about billboards or telling about your latest program or product. It's just not selling. And then finally, consistency. That's a really key thing to keep in mind. So don't get home, get all excited about social media, do 2 weeks worth of stuff and then drop off when the holidays come. Whether it's twice a week, 3 times a week, your consistency is going to be a key factor in success. Now, let me tell you about those 3 elements of building community through social media. So the first aspect is recruiting people into your community. So what do I mean by recruiting? What I mean is getting people into your club, your community, whatever it is that you want to call it, your business. You want to get new people in there. And so we're going to talk about how to do that in this first key. The first thing to do when recruiting people into your community is to follow or like complementary businesses. Now, if you're a brick and mortar, that might mean other businesses in your area that are complementary to you. So it could be the vitamin shop, the smoothie shop. If you're lucky enough to have a Lululemon or a Lorna Jane in your neighborhood, those are going to be great complementary businesses to follow and engage with. Online, same thing. It's just other people who do similar things or complementary things to you. Because what that does, it expands your audience. It gives you the opportunity to co-brand or do events together that will give you the opportunity to reach new people that you might not have otherwise reached. So let's look at some examples. In this first example, we have one of our local clients, and that's Hardcore Fitness in Agora Hills. They have done a tremendous job of following and engaging with all kinds of people and businesses in their area. In this first example, we have a post from the Agora Animal Shelter. And so that's one of those businesses that you wouldn't ordinarily think would be complementary, but she's done a great job of partnering and engaging with them and following up on posts, and that led to a great event in which they did some fundraising for the animal shelter. And during one of the classes, throughout a Saturday morning, people brought in dog food and blankets and even donated gift cards. And the Agora Animal Shelter was so grateful and appreciative that they shouted out to their following about how much they appreciated, and of course gave great brand exposure to Hardcore Fitness. In this second example, we have a chiropractor. Her name is Doggen Fit, and she's actually a very well-known Instagram influencer. And one of the things that she has attributed to her success is the fact that she has partnered with a lot of complementary businesses. So again, this works online as well. And she's had the opportunity to work with other chiropractors. She's had different equipment. And in this one, she's demonstrating an exercise, and she hashtags Movement Monday, which is a great way also to increase your following. And she's featuring some special clothing from at Sweat with Soul. And so that gives Sweat with Soul some exposure to her people and vice versa. And it's a great way to start recruiting people into your community. The second way to recruit people into your community is to actually follow some local competitors, see what they're doing, and engage with their top fans. So for instance, let's say you have an Orange Theory near you, and it's very similar to what you do. You're gonna go to their fan page, see what people are doing on their page, whether they're interacting, liking, engaging, and you're gonna follow those people because those people are built-in fans for you because they offer the same thing. Of course, if you are not anything like Orange Theory, you're not gonna do that, but that's gonna give you the opportunity to engage with members in your local community that want the same kind of offering that you have to offer. So let's take a look. As I mentioned earlier, we're super excited about launching the Be Military Fit brand here in Los Angeles. And so as we start to build our presence, we're not quite there yet, I'm gonna start looking at some of our local competitors. So in this example, I found this gentleman, not sure how I came across him. His name is Jerome, and his business name is Train Goat Gains. And I've seen from his posts that he does a lot of boot camp type training in the parks. So what we'll be doing is looking to see who is commenting and following and engaging with him, and then following them as the Be Military Fit brand and engaging with them. Of course, we're gonna be liking the posts that they put up or saying, wow, what a great workout, looks like a lot of fun, and doing authentic and meaningful engagement with these guys so that eventually they might learn, like, oh, who is this Be Military Fit? And it's just a way to start promoting our brand. If you see in this example, there are two people, Mary Ruth Schuler and Drew Lorraine, who regularly comment with Jerome, and so those are gonna be two of my next people that I start to follow as Be Military Fit. In this next example, we're looking at an online presence. So this is someone that I started following, and then they engaged with me. And doing that through direct message is a great way to start building relationships. So if you look at these two examples, one of the gentlemen offered a 7-day free trial. What a great thing when you start engaging and you give them the opportunity to come and try out your services. In the second example, it was a digital solution for teaching. Again, people who are following me and engaging with me through direct message in order to expand their services. What a great idea. So the third thing is to make sure that you make time every day to engage. Remember, we said this is social media, so you have to spend a little bit more time interacting with those fans and followers that we just talked about. So it's not just about content creation and scheduling, it's about taking the time to comment, to like, and to make sure that you're engaging with those people, because that engagement is going to help your organic reach. And by the way, you want to make sure that you are responding quickly. That's super important, and I'm going to show you some statistics on that. Marketing expert Jay Baer says that answering a complaint on social media can increase customer advocacy by as much as 25%, which is great for that one individual, but also for all the other individuals that see your response on social media. In addition, just keep in mind that most people are expecting a quick response. 40% of consumers expect brands to respond within the first hour, and a majority expect within the first day. Now, keep in mind that most brands are not doing that well enough. Response time should be a lot quicker. And this is just in regards to questions about the product, or, how much is a membership, that sort of thing. A different statistic to keep in mind that's very important is in regard to leads. So when someone comes in and asks about a membership or has an inquiry, that response time is typically 5 minutes. Now, I know that sounds scary. 5 minutes, how am I going to respond to everybody? But you want to get people when they're really excited and emotional about that concept. So do your best to prioritize responding to leads as quickly as possible. I want to show you some examples of what works and what doesn't work in response time. So here's one for Lululemon. You don't need to see the ad, but it's about a great new pair of pants that they have. And you see they inform the people about that, and people are asking questions like, hey, what about these kinds of biker shorts, or what about this, or what about that? And with every single comment, there's a response. There's 115 comments, and Lululemon is responding to each and every single one of them. Of course, they have a team, but you also probably don't have the same number of followers as Lululemon, so it's important that you address every single thing, even if it's an ad. In the second example, we see an ad from Spanx, right? And they're advertising something in their caption, which I'm not showing, but there are literally hundreds and hundreds of comments responding in a negative way about the Spanx ad, and there is not one response from Spanx. That's a big no-no. So if you put an ad in and if people have something to say, respond publicly and then say, let's DM to continue the conversation. You want to show that response as a way to enhance your customer service. So that's how you bring new people into your community, how you recruit them. The next step is how you're going to keep them. You have them now. Now let's talk about ways in which you keep them. Now let's talk about retaining. We're obviously at the retention convention. You all know what retention is, and obviously we've gotten people into our community, so how do we keep them in our community? So I'm going to give you some really great strategies on how to retain. The first thing you want to do is make sure that your staff is friending and following members on social media. When you're in the club, you expect your staff to interact with members. Member engagement is super important. And that goes beyond the walls of the club, especially now when some people are at home or can't come into the club at all. You need that extension of engagement. On a side note, if your staff is someone that you're worried about engaging with others on social media, they should not be on your staff. facilities that I've worked with have expressed concern, and if you are concerned, they really shouldn't be a part of your team. That's just my 2 cents on that. On another thing, something to note, you need to make sure that when you bring new people into your team, that every single one of them likes your pages, both Instagram and Facebook, and that they're interacting with them regularly. We would often send out a club-wide email and say, hey staff, make sure you pick a post to share or interact with this week, because the more you get people to interact with a post, the more people are gonna see it. So that's gonna help boost your organic reach in a super easy way. So make sure you do that. Back to some examples that I wanna show you. Back to our friends at Hardcore Fitness and Agora. Here are 2 examples of trainers sharing something that promotes the client. So in the first one, Diego is congratulating Deepak for joining in and being a part of this challenge and really doing a great job. All of Deepak's friends are going to see that. Of course, he should have tagged him, which is not in the caption, but that's what you want to do, increase that. All About Jess does a great job of featuring one of her clients, the traveling hat, and she does tag her. And then that person will be able to share that story to their friends and followers. So it's a great way to use your staff to continue to build and retain those relationships with members. So the next thing you want to do when creating content, make sure that it is inspiring and informative. Obviously, you want to let your community know about things that are going on, whether it's a second lockdown or a special that you have, but the majority of your content, at least 80% of it, has to be informative. It has to inspire your members and get them to engage. For instance, for those of you who are familiar with the Newtown Athletic Club, they do a great job. If you've ever seen Facebook Live with Jim Worthington, you know that they're getting so much engagement and those members love it. The last video I looked at had something like 3,500 views, which is amazing. And guess what? Who do you think decides whether your content is informative and inspiring? Not you. It's the people that you engage with in your community. So you want to make sure that you're checking your insights. Which ones are working and which ones are not? Where are people commenting and engaging and giving you those love hearts? Shout out to JT. That's definitely going to be in your insights, right? So if your avatar, let's say you're a bar studio owner, you know who your avatar is. It's typically going to be women in a certain age group. So the content that you put out there has to appeal to them. So keep your audience in mind when you're doing that. Let's show you another example of a fitness business that I think is doing a great job of doing content that is formative and inspiring. I'm not even sure how I came across Pello Fitness. Somehow I started engaging and following with him, and one day was looking through my feed and found a really cool post that made me stop. You know, one of those thumb stopping kind of posts that you want to try to achieve when you're creating content. And it was about fat loss and diet and how they work. And so it was interesting to me because he made a statement and it caught my eye, and it actually prompted me to respond. So you can see that I say to him, wow, this is really good. It caught my attention. And then he responded to me and asked me a question. So he was getting more engagement. And I love that. And so as you look at his grid, you'll notice a combinations of things. There are information posts, there are client testimonials where you see progress, there's some personal stuff where you see a picture of him with his kids at Halloween. There's a variety of things. They're interesting, they're educational, and you know what? He's not selling a lot through the feed. Obviously, he's trying to build his business, but that's not apparent in the way he's promoting his content. And if you look at this next example, there is a different post that caught my eye about landmines, and I happened to be doing those at the gym when I was working out. And so I liked the post, and then he engaged with me again through that DM and said, hey, you know, thanks for liking my post. Have you done a lot of landmine work? If I were to be a consumer, he would be someone that I would trust because of the relationship that he's built, and he hasn't been selling me on anything. He's just giving me great information, which I love. Another strategy that has been super successful for us in the past is to regularly highlight and feature both members and staff. Yes, you want to put informative articles on there, how-to exercises, all that stuff, but for us, the things that worked best were when we showed our staff on a post. It might have been a work anniversary, it might have been a birthday. Same thing with members. Members love to see themselves and tag away. So that way their friends and audience see that. Instagram stories are a great way to do that because once you tag them in a story, they'll share it to their story and it expands your reach, but they love seeing that and it makes them proud to be a part of the club. So let me show you some great examples of that. In these examples from when we had Stevenson Fitness, you'll notice how we feature staff. And these were always the posts that we're most engaged with. And we knew that because of our insights. So in the first example, it was International Women's Day. Again, that hashtag trend jacking thing where you're going on to trends that are happening in social media, this was super effective. We had a number of our female instructors and we tagged every single one of them so all their friends got to see it, and we had a reach of about 1,300 people, which is way more than we typically had. In the second example, we had our operations manager. It was her work anniversary. We shouted out her name, and again, people commented and liked and really engaged. In the second example, we have some other businesses featuring their member of the week or their member of the month. One from I Love Kickboxing, and it was a video of Lorna. And then the second one from Anytime Fitness, they featured their member Bruce. Now the one thing they didn't do was tag Bruce. I'll always encourage you to tag away. And finally, a really great opportunity is to use stories. As I mentioned, Hardcore Fitness and Agora, every single day they're sharing stories and displaying what their members are doing during their workouts. Notice that it's all outside because in California, we're still closed. But they tag the members and then those members can add it to the story, which is really fun. I did have the opportunity to talk to a couple other business owners, both at the NAC and at Discover Strength, and they confirmed that their most popular posts from the previous year always featured staff or members. Keep that in mind as you're retaining the people in your community. So those are some ways that you can retain members in your community. Pretty simple, huh? I could spend days talking to you about all the different content ideas and things you can do for engagement, but Paul doesn't give me the time, so we're gonna have to keep it at that. So we talked about how you get some people into your community, how you keep them, and now we're gonna talk about how you get those people to refer even more into your community. Finally, we're going to talk about the role that social media plays in building a community of referrals. We all know that fitness businesses thrive with referrals. Actually, any business thrives through referrals. If you're not growing, you're dying. So let's talk about some key points that we need to do in order to get referrals in our communities. The first and most important thing you want to do is to make sure that your community is posting about you. User-generated content is a great tool in building community and also getting referrals. So for instance, check-in challenges where people are tagging your location, you're encouraging them to do that. You can do things like branded hashtags. You can do all sorts of contests, but the key is to get people to post about you and for you. That's gonna spread awareness and keep that community with you. I'm gonna show you some fantastic examples of this. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I am not above bribing members to do the behaviors that we want them to do. So I mentioned check-in challenges. We ran one at Stevenson Fitness. I believe the prize was a $200 Amazon gift card. And every time someone came in, they would check in and they received an entry to win that $200 gift card. Well, in this first example, we have Owen Harris, who'd never posted anything about Stevenson Fitness, and he literally posted every day. Side note, he did not win, but he did do a lot of great marketing for us for the low price of $200. And by the way, there were hundreds of members that were doing that. And this was in conjunction with another campaign that we were running, so it fit in beautifully with what we were trying to achieve. In the second example, we see how branded hashtags are a great way to encourage your members to post about you. So Fitting Room in New York, they do a great job with their social media. Their branded hashtag is FitPros, and they use that regularly and encourage their members to use that branded hashtag. In that previous example, I told you about how we were running the check-in challenge along with some other stuff. We did a great branded hashtag campaign around Why Stevenson. That was our branded hashtag, and we encouraged our members to post about why they love Stevenson Fitness, and they did. Again, there was a little bit of a bribe involved, but they told their community why they love Stevenson Fitness so much, and it worked beautifully for us that month. And in the final sort of side note, think about your member experience, and anytime you do anything that's above and beyond, that generates some sort of post. Typically, we would have things like cake pops that we would deliver when someone was having surgery or when they were out sick. And they would get these cake pops, they would be so amazed, and they would post about it on social media. Even when we'd send little postcards, handwritten postcards, people would post that on social media like, oh my gosh, I can't believe my gym did this, in a good way. Another thing that worked really well for us was our baby onesies. They were so cute, and anytime we gave it to a new mom or a new granddad, they would put that baby in that cute little onesie and of course, tag us. What a great way to keep our community engaged and to get more referrals. The second thing you want to do is make sure that there are physical places in your area, whether it's a club or a studio, whatever it may be, that encourages people to take pictures and share them. So I've had the opportunity to travel a ton with the speaking that I've done, and I love to visit other clubs. It's so fun. And I've seen spaces where there's places that say take selfie now. Sometimes people use those props like the Instagram frames. There's even backdrops that people bring out for special events or for when a new member joins. There's so many creative ways to do this, and this encourages your members, your community, to post, which lets their friends know about you, and that's what you want to see. Now, on a side note, there are some digital ways to do this. If right now you're not in your physical location or you're closed, there were some great examples during the shutdown of businesses sharing digital templates that then members would share to their social circles. So Active Wellness did a really cool one about how you're taking care of yourself. I think it was a bingo. And who else did one? Oh, one that was really great was the Fitness Business Podcast, when one of their hosts, their guest host, Marissa Hoff, shared a really cool template that was shared throughout. Let's look at some other examples of physical locations that are doing this really well. Prior to all this COVID craziness, one of the things that I loved doing was visiting other gyms when I traveled. I'd love to see how they set things up. I love to criticize their member services, all that kind of fun stuff. Well, in this example, I was in Beijing actually with Dr. Bedford in June a couple years ago, and just happened to come across this really cool gym called Train Yard. And lo and behold, they had a really cool wall with the angel wings, and those were super trendy at the time. Maybe they still are, I don't know. But it encouraged people in the gym setting to take pictures there with, of course, their logo prominently displayed in the middle. Barry's also does a really cool job. It's hard to tell in the picture, but that writing was actually in reverse, and it was a mirror. So as a customer, you walk in and you would take a selfie in the mirror and you would see the message with, again, the Barry's branding. What a cool idea that I would love to replicate in my next location. In the second example, you also see some of those physical, cool Instagram sort of frames that people can use. It is great to have those at events, but you can also have them lying around the club. One of them was from our friends at the NAC, and they had summer selfie ready, and people were taking great pictures. And the second one, it was from our friends at the Bay Club, which are here in California, and that was their hashtag for the whole summer, Bay Club Happy, and it was written on the frame, and so it really encouraged people to take pictures and share on social media. And by the way, If you're going to be doing that, make sure that when you repost, you do ask for permission. Yes, it's a given that you're going to do that, but it's always good to inbox them and say, hey, I loved your picture. Is it okay if I share it? In the second ones, these are digital examples. So this was the one that I just mentioned from the Fitness Business Podcast. This was a story. In the first story, I explained what it was, and in the second one, there were blanks where people could fill in and tag their friends. So every time the story went out from Fitness Business Podcast, there would be 5 or 6 people that had been tagged, so it would draw them to the profile. What a great way to recruit people into your business. In the second one, this is from Struct Club. They did it on Happy Emoji Day. Again, the blank one is first, and you kind of explain, and anytime someone shares it, they're going to tag your location, your club, your business, and you get to fill it in. As you can see, my favorite animal is an elephant, and I shared that with all my friends. Finally, don't forget the power of testimonials. They are so great for use in your marketing, especially now during COVID. So you want people coming out of your gym, your classes, testifying about what a great job you're doing of keeping things safe and clean. Obviously, in other times, they're talking about the great weight loss that they've had or how they've gotten better at playing a sport. All those are things that you want to take videos of, take pictures of, post them, and by the way, repurpose all those Yelp and Net Promoter Score reviews. They're such a great way to get other people to see how great you are. Obviously, your members know that. Make sure you're encouraging them to tell others about it. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm not above bribing people. So in this example, we asked our small group participants to tell us why they love small group. And we would pick one person, of course, to win a month of small group. And we had tons of shares and comments and engagement. But more than that, we had testimonials about small group that we could repurpose. So I took some of those, and then in the second example, I put them on top of some pictures of our members telling why they love small group. And those were posts that when we had a new season of small group training, we used them on social media. In this next example, you'll see our friends at Discover Strength. They do a great job of taking their Yelp reviews and their Google reviews and posting them as an individual post. So using that testimonial to get referrals into the community. Our friends at Hardcore Fitness also, for some reason, have a great community that loves to post before and afters. So on a regular basis, members are talking about why they love Hardcore and their challenge, and show their before and after, which Hardcore will again share with the community. What a great way to get referrals. And finally, remember I said the importance of COVID, especially some of us who are in second lockdown or third lockdown or never opened at all. When you finally are open, you want to make sure that you include testimonials about what you're doing to make sure that everyone is safe. In this first example, you'll see our friends at City Fitness in Philly. They have a testimonial talking about, thank you, you've done such a great job with COVID, and then they use that as part of their post. We also have at Hardcore Fitness, same thing. Can you tell us about how it was when you came back? And they share those. And if you actually look at City Fitness website, you'll see that they have pictures of people wearing masks. So side note, all of your posts need to reflect the current situation with COVID, so people wearing masks, being socially distant. If for some reason you're using a picture that was before that, make sure you say, before COVID, this is how we ran it, just so that people don't get the wrong impression. Those are the ways that we encourage referrals through our social media community. We all know that in this time where we're being budget conscious, referrals are great advantages. Obviously, they cost next to nothing in marketing. They are easier to sell because their friends have done all the work. They have a tendency to stay longer, and I'm sure Dr. Bedford has a ton of statistics on that. And by the way, they spend more. So harness that power of social media to get those referrals through the door. So, when you build a community through social media, you recruit people to be a part of that community. You keep them in your community through retaining them. And then you also make sure you get other people to refer into that community. And bottom line, guys, this is what's going to keep you in business. We're at a time now when not all of us are going to stay in business, so this is super important for our bottom line. But the real value in all of this, you guys, is that when you build a community through social media, you build a home. You get people in, they make friends, they build relationships, they stay motivated and inspired. Guys, they hold each other accountable. So that community is what's keeping these people healthy. And that's why we're in this business, guys. We're empowering people to live healthier lives. That's why we do what we do. So I thank you for doing what you do, and I wish you the best of luck.